The duck is back. The duck is back. Long story short, I've been trying hard to do this video for a few days now, and it's just been a bit of a head push, but finally there. I started this video a while back doing on the chassis. This chassis I was doing on the Hilux chassis, and I've done a video on this bolt here, getting this one out, and it didn't work out, couldn't get it out, and in the end I had to drill it and put a tap through there, but I got it right. And what I wanted to talk today is this one here on the front here. And for those, this chassis is upside down, and for those of you that don't understand, these two bolts here are what hold either the towing, the A-frame, or there's a hook what goes on here. So this is bear with me. This is the A-frame one, right? See, and then that would bolt into those two holes. See, now I knew this was going to be a problem, but basically it's a lot easier to do these problems when the chassis has got nothing on it and upside down. But basically, if you can imagine, this is what you'd be looking at if I was lying on my back under the vehicle looking up, right? And what was under there, what was under this was this nut here, which would have been inside the chassis, and you can just see here where they welded it, but there's no real sign on the other side that they welded it's like the robot packed up, or they loaded it wrong, or whatever it is. So I was going to put this back in, and then I noticed after I put the thread cleaner, the tap down through it, I don't know if you can see, but the inside there, that thread looks a bit munted. So I thought, bugger it, I'll get a new nut. And then the only nut I could find, right, was not very high quality. So I went for a castle nut to put in there, because castle nuts off ball joints are high quality steel, right? And then I welded it. You can see here, I've welded it to this piece of steel on it, right? And that piece of steel was square. And the reason why it's not square now is basically what I'm going to do is put this nut, just make sure you're in the shot, just right, bear with me. All this high-tech equipment I've got. Yeah, right, duck. So what we're going to do, and I've already put it in there and fitted it. I'm going to put some photos up, and it'll sort of make it a lot clearer as to the procedure of that. But if you could see, that's funny shape, and that's to get it to fit inside the chassis, because there's where these bits of steel join in there, it's restricted in there. So anyway, so we put that in through here, and then and of course hopefully get that to start. This is another way of fixing these problems without cutting big holes in the chassis. Now these holes here, right, these are going to be the holes that I use to weld, and I'll weld both these holes, and then that will stick to that piece of steel that I've put on their nut, right? And then Bob's your uncle, Nellie's your aunt, and I've just realised I forgot my bit of pipe. Okay, got my fat finger on it now. This is to hold the part in place while I weld it. I think that bit of pipe is an old jack handle or something. Alright, put that. I had a lot of in and out of there yesterday, and I pre-painted that part because that's basically when I was doing my trade. I was working in a workshop with a panel beater, and he said no, some paint is better than no paint, because in this situation that welder will burn off the paint there, but there's still a lot of paint on that bottom side of that nut what won't paint off, and then to get paint back onto where I've welded it, I'll just blow some in for a tube, maybe shoot it up in there in the spray can. I don't know about that one in the back here, probably a bit of clear tube, you know, and you suck in the primer, and then you put it up roughly in the right place and blow it with the air gun, or blow it with your lips and blow the paint in here over the bare steel, right? And then I've just about finished this to where I want. I'm going to give it a buff and a paint on all the mungle places what I have trouble getting. Right, so if you look, I'll show you. If you look down in there now, right, right, you can see that piece of steel that I welded on the nut. See it there? And then when I put the welder in there, I will weld this to that piece in there, and then fill that hole up, and then I'll polish it. I'll polish it with, you know, the grinder, sander. You'll never even know, right? Okay, now that dot there is where I was going to drill the hole, and I changed my mind, right? So the next thing what I've got to do is I just got to get in there and scrape that paint right off. so we get a good contact. Okay. So when the MIG goes in there, because I've drilled these holes, it's perfectly clean. Yeah, I've done quite a few photos on the procedure. I'm not sure about the Facebook, because the photos are on Facebook if you're watching this on YouTube. And I don't know, from my end, the photos always seem to be dumped together, but right. Okay, and you have a look in there again. You have a look in there again, you see? What the hell's that? Oh, it's my finger. See? Polish that up. Both sides. And then I'll go in there and just fill those up with holes, and then it will grab that and fill it up, and then that nut will be captured. I'm doing this because quite often with these vehicles you'll find when one nut pops off, that it's a run, you know, there's a run of, you know, they've done a couple of hundred with them with that mistake. And that's why I'm showing you how to fix it, because let's have a look at that. Crap everywhere. That's why I'm showing you how to fix it, because you can actually do this from under the vehicle, apart from the hot steel falling down on your face. The only other way is to cut a neat square out of there, weld the nut on the back of the square and put it up in there, which is equally difficult, okay? Anyway, I'm going to weld this in now, because there was something else I wanted to show you, but I've completely forgotten about it. Anyway, hope you're having a good one. I'm having a good one. And I probably won't do a video on this anymore. Any questions? If you got any questions, or you want me to do a video on something like this, just drop a line in the comment, or you can PM me personally. And have a good one.